gather here today to bless Oakland. We're here because there are many in an Oakland community that view each other as enemy, when the real predator destroying our communities is racism and COVID-19. Since COVID-19 arrived in March, homicides have escalated 65%. This morning we are blessing Oakland with special emphasis on our Oakland's African American community. For as all of us know, when America catches a cold, Black folks catch pneumonia. Right now, Black folks constitute 21% of COVID-19 cases, despite being only 12% of the population. We're here to bless Oakland and rescue our beloved Black community from gun violence, racism, and COVID-19. Oakland has endured negative hits for decades, beginning with racism, as explained in the infamous Willie Lynch letter, that although not true, explains Americans' pathology in the creation of slavery and white supremacy. Relentlessly forwarding inequity after slavery in the form of peonage for 80 years with the embrace of Black laws, Jim Crow, and the psychology of lynching. Next, Black GIs returning from war were shut out of the great establishment of the white middle class via the denial of the GI Bill. Black families were then left to survive in a society supported by segregation, separate but equal, and redlining. We experienced a bright, shining moment of civil rights before President Reagan dismantled the movement a short 5 years later, ignoring the Moynihan Report, then by using his power, sold guns for drugs to infiltrate and funnel into the Black community. Reagan was complicit in the rise of Felix Mitchell, crack cocaine, and the eventual dismantling of affirmative action. Next, Clinton's war on drug established a new Jim Crow by taking Black men away from their families. For us left behind, Clinton exported our jobs to foreign shores and shored up the three strikes law. Next, greedy banks committed fraud via the 2007 mortgage meltdown, allowing banks to take 35% of Black wealth while receiving millions of dollars via the Obama administration. Gentrification, increased poverty, and homelessness has brought us to a city racked by people angry, destitute, and desperate, and in some cases violent. Today, we come as credible messengers, unapologetically Black, with no taint of the oppressive, Eurocentric culture that has left us begging to breathe. We come before not the press, not the city officials, but before you, our people, that need our help to heal. We go beyond reminding the world that we matter and bring peace and resources to our community and to our neighborhoods. We are your sisters and brothers and are here offering the African way to healing and restoration. But we need your help. We need every brother and sister to come together in peace. We thank the press for being here today to help us spread the message that we're not each other's enemy, while identifying the real enemies of racism and COVID-19. We thank the press for allowing us to announce to the City of Oakland that we invite every Oakland citizen to join us to fight COVID-19 and racism by supporting Adamika's Village and the Violence Prevention Coalition's call for a city-wide truce. Peace. On Sunday, November 1st at 12 noon, our beloved community is invited to help us secure peace in the streets by practicing random acts of kindness and nonviolence. It's time to turn your guns into plowshares. If nothing else, COVID-19 is Mother Nature's way of allowing us to reset our culture and get it right. And we can do this. Thank you. And next, I am honored, so honored to introduce a mama, who's lost her son and her grandson to gun violence. Mrs. Lynette McElhaney.
Today, do I have your permission To my mothers, my sister mothers, our mothers of angel babies, I honor you. I honor each of you. As we stand here in this space, on this mountain, my mind is racing with the sound of mothers wailing for centuries. When Victor was violently taken from us, I was in a strange hotel room. And after the evening had set and we had done all we could do, like all of the mothers, I wailed. It's a wailing you can't even fathom. It's a sound we've never even heard of ourselves. And in my wailing, I thought of the mamas whose babies had been taken from them at the border. I suddenly was thinking about those mothers whose babies were ripped from their breast and placed in cages by our government. I screamed even more. It's evil, an unspeakable evil. When your baby is taken by gun violence, police violence, when your baby is taken by violent acts of the government, there is nothing you can say that this is an unspeakable, unnatural, ungodly evil. Some people say, oh, your baby was killed. My baby was stolen from me. Stolen from us, our promise taken from us. And so often as I've been walking on this journey, there are folks who want to make a distinction between police violence and community violence. There are those ignorant voices that will say to us when we decry a government violence against our children, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. These are children. They belong to us. And they'll say, well, why don't you do something about community violence? As if those things are separate and apart. But the mamas know it's one system of evil that devalues human life, that devalues our presence and our participation, co-creation of our society. So, in our mourning, in our grieving, the families, the mothers, the fathers, brothers and the sisters, we rise up and we raise up our voices and we say no more to this evil. We rise up and we say we deserve investment more than policing. We rise up and we say, let the spirit of our departed speak to all of us so that we value us and we stop the bloodshed and the tyranny of this evil. We are calling forth now a truce, but it's more than a truce. It's an awakening that we are seeking in ourselves, a consciousness in ourselves for our young men to be men, to live past the trauma that they've endured, to open and avail themselves to love and healing, and to know that their lives matter, because when their lives matter, they won't take another life. They can't take another life. They will recognize themselves and their brother and say, I love me, so I love you, so I can't hurt you without harming me. There's no you and me, there's we, right? And so we're calling for this awakening, this consciousness, this awareness that we do not have to live into the evil that they planned and plot and laid for us. In calling for this truce, we're calling for a radical transformation of how we show up for one another. Where the people who live on this side of the mountain don't see an other on the other side of the mountain. They see one people worthy of the same investment, and we stop living into the divisiveness of this language. Our babies, our beautiful babies who came and visited with us and left us with laughter and love and hugs and purpose. Crying out to each of you to say, love one another, stand with one another, let the music be your medicine and heal one another, and that we can stop this evil from ravaging our people and our land. So, as the elders pour libation, as we invoke the spirit of our ancestors, let us be guided by their wisdom. Let us put to rest the unsettled ghosts. Let us heal that thing in us that does us harm. And this isn't just a black thing. The violence of gated communities to lock out others is a violence. Poverty imposed on people by political decision is a violence. And rather than be afraid of one another, I want to say to all the people of privilege, you don't have to be afraid. You no longer have to feed the beast that makes you afraid. We will conquer fear. We will conquer death. We'll conquer this evil as we unleash this love. Because that's what our babies are. They are love personified. They, in their stories, in their spirits, they are our healing and our truth.